WGN viewers, if you're looking for the 9 o'clock news, you can watch it live on CLTV or at 3w.wgntv.com. And we are coming to you from the Big A in Anaheim, California, where tonight WGN Sports presents White Sox baseball. It's Jose Abreu, Avi Garcia, Melky Cabrera and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with the venerable Albert Pujols, the superstar Mike Trout, and Mike Scioscia's Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stone as we get set to bring you the first of this 4-game set and the first of this 7-game road trip. We'll have 4 here, finish it off with 3 in Seattle. And, of course, if you missed yesterday's ball game, the finale of that series against the Cubs, Chris Sale was absolutely awesome. He was magnificent. 7 innings, no runs, 1 hit, had 15 strikeouts. So we won that ball game 3-1 with Robertson picking up the save. But tonight, these two teams both trying to get to the postseason by the wild cards.
2 hungry ball clubs, and we'll show you the wild card standings, and you'll see just exactly why. You see Toronto at top. They lead by a wide margin. Baltimore is winning their game, and they're in the second spot with the Angels trailing by a half game. You see our Sox tied with Detroit 4.5 games out, and so every game is a must game as the Sox try to get right back in the middle of this thing so they can do it right here with 4 against the Angels. Rodon last time out was absolutely brilliant, and things turned around in the first inning with a couple of men on. He struck out Trout. He struck out Pujols, got out of the first inning, went out to strike out 11. Probably the best he's looked since putting on a White Sox uniform, and Mike Scioscia talked about it. He was brilliant. So these guys did not go head-to-head, but Andrew Heaney threw the ball pretty well. He got a no decision as he went Wednesday, going 5 2/3, giving up 6 hits and 2 earned runs. He's a young left-hander. He's got a pretty good idea about what to do with the baseball, and we saw a good slider and a good change in Chicago.
Well, we've got another rookie in that lineup tonight, this time in right field.
Trace Thompson is getting a start, and he's the kid who hit 500. Now, we did see Andrew Heaney, and he got a couple of hits against him. He took Hector Santiago out of the ballpark. And as you can see, things going very well. And tonight he plays right field with the DH being Avi Garcia. So Robin loading the lineup with right-handers, and hopefully Trace can continue to do what he's done. He's been pretty impressive in the early going, and if he keeps it up, Sox could right back into this thing.
Well, we swept these guys last week at home in that 3-game set, so they're a little upset about that. They want some redemption. So sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way. Pilsner. Cheers. It's Miller time. By Honda. Great deals are happening at the Honda Summer Clearance event. Now at your Honda dealer. Subway. Make a smart play for savory subs this season. Score more flavor at Subway restaurants. Subway, eat fresh. Ford, America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at your local FordStores.com. And by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers who invite you to test drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com.
Chicago White Sox baseball in high definition is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And welcome back to the Big A in Anaheim on an absolutely perfect night for baseball. And let's take a look at how Robin is going to line up our Sox for the game tonight. Adam Eaton leading it off with Jose Abreu in the 2 spot. Then it's Melky Cabrera, Avisail Garcia, the DH, with Trace Thompson in right. Alexi Ramirez, who's been pretty hot lately, with Tyler Saladino. Tyler Flowers and Gordon Beckham rounding it out. The defense and how they'll line up behind Andrew Heaney left to right. It's Victorino, Trout, and Calhoun in the outfield with Jackson, Ibar, Giavotella, and Crone in the infield. Carlos Perez behind the plate, and the youngster Andrew Heaney on the mound. He's 5-1 this year. His ERA a little above 2.5. This is his 10th start. Opponent's hitting just .236, which is pretty good. He's got a very good slider and a good straight change to go with it. Not overpowering, but it's a better than average fastball. The umpires for the game tonight: Ed Hickox behind the plate, Paul Nard at first, Dana DeMuth at second, and Mike Eskerbrook is at third. So they've thrown the ball around the infield. We're ready to play baseball. Adam Eaton has taken a walk and is in the batter's box. And so it's time for me to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
Hi, Steve. Thank you. And once again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball right here over WGN Sports. So happy you could join us for the first of this 4-game set and this 7-game road trip. It'll be 4 here and 3 in Seattle. And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours as Adam Eaton stands in, and the first pitch of the ball game taken for a strike. Adam comes in at .264, 10 homers. He's driven in 30. He is 0 for 3 against Andrew Heaney. Very quickly, the count 0-2. And here at the ballpark, the Big A, 330 down the lines, 365 in right center, 380 in left center, and 396 straightaway center. Fourth meeting of the year between these two clubs, as we mentioned last week in that 3-game series. We swept them. And there's Mike Trout.
This Anaheim team is a whole lot better here at home. They're 36-23 as opposed to just 24-34 on the road. They're coming off a 1-6 road trip, so for them it's been very tough away from Anaheim.
Here's Abreu. He also was 0 for 3 against Heaney. He comes in at .295, 22 homers, and 69 driven in.
Heaney spent about 10 minutes with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and he came over here in exchange for infielder Howie Kendrick, so they thought a whole lot about him because Kendrick's a good player.
One and one to count. Close pitch, and it goes Heaney's way. That one's inside. Sox come in hitting at .249 as a club with a 4.02 ERA.
Heaney tried to heat him up inside but missed off the plate.
There's a change. So with 2 out, let's check out our picks to click. Mangio, our director and recruit, well, they went with Beck. Steve's going with Tyler Saladino and Mike Mazza, Kenny Wiz, Tom Eichstadt, Pete Cantazone, Laura Arenas, Mary Weiss, Nick Bristow, Charles Johnson, Mike Spadali, and Tommy Sheridan and I. We're going to go with Melky Cabrera, the man at the plate right now. There's ball one.
Heaney originally with.
I'm going with Thompson. We're going with Thompson.
He originally with the Miami Marlins. And he was rated by MLB.com the top left-handed pitching prospect entering the 2014 season.
Low throw, nice pick by Crone, and that'll retire the side. An easy inning for the 24-year-old southpaw.
Cole Calhoun, Mike Trout, and Albert Pujols hitting 3 and 4. C.J. Crone, Eric Ibar, Johnny Giavotella, Carlos Perez, a fine defender behind the plate, and Ryan Jackson getting his first Angel start at third base. Let's take a look at how they're going to line up behind. Carlos Rodon, Melky Cabrera, Adam Eaton, and Trace Thompson in the outfield, with Tyler Saladino, Alexi Ramirez, Gordon Beckham, and Jose Abreu in the infield. Tyler Flowers behind the plate. And Carlos Rodon off his best outing as a member of the Sox, coming in at 5 and 4, his ERA a little above 4.5 on for his 17th start.
So here's Shane Victorino, 34-year-old veteran, used to be a switch hitter, now he is strictly right-handed. He comes in hitting at 222, no homers, no RBIs. There's a fastball strike. Angels come in hitting at 245 as a team with a 3.71 ERA. That'll be sucked up by Saladino. Boy, he has just absolutely been Brooks Robinson-ish.
I talked to him before the game about what it's like as a lifetime shortstop to move to third base, and he said, well, quite obviously it's a whole lot quicker down there. He said that first step is of vital importance, also staying down, and he said he tries to set himself, and then because he's got a strong arm, he can take some time before he gets it over there, but he's done just a terrific job moving to a position that he didn't play a great deal of.
And that Brooks Robinson-ish is Brooks Robinson, Hall of Fame third baseman, formerly with the Baltimore Orioles. For all you youngsters out there, he's a great player, great person, and boy, could he throw some leather. So here's Cole Calhoun hitting at 270, 17 homers, 63 driven in.
Calhoun, the first right fielder on the Angels since Tim Salmon in 2003 to hit as many as 17 home runs.
Cole Calhoun's a good-looking hitter. And from what we've seen, just a good-looking player.
Yeah, he's going to be a good one for a long time. And I talked with Mike Scioscia about the last time Rodon went out there. That was in Chicago, and he said, you know, the reports we got was that he throws the ball all over, that he's probably going to fall behind. And he said he started out that way, and I thought the reports were right on because he got first and second, nobody out. He said all of a sudden he got out of that first inning, and then he said we just couldn't touch him. And that was an understatement with 11 strikeouts.
Trout takes strike one. Just turned 24. Hitting at .298. 33 homers, 71 driven in. In that game, he was 0 for 3 against Carlos. In that series, Mike certainly looked like that wrist of his, that left wrist, was bothering him, swinging the bat.
Well, as you can see, this month it's been a tough month for him, and I'm sure, as good a hitter as he is, it can't help but be affecting him.
I don't care who you are, how much pain tolerance you have. There's that. There's a nice, easy 1-2-3 for Carlos, and after one, no score.
Field for 22 White Sox games in August, September, and October. For more information or to purchase, visit whitesox.com/ballparkpass.
Garcia, Thompson, and Alexei. He comes in .261, 11 homers, 45 driven in. And he was 0 for 2 against Andrew Heaney. Starts him off with that changeup.
That changeup was his third best pitch, but as good as it's getting, it's moving right up there with the slider as being a secondary weapon behind his well-placed fastball, which he seems to be able to throw to both sides of the plate.
Trout over towards Calhoun and right, couple steps. Yanks that one foul.
Be interesting to see Ryan Jackson at third base, only in that he's a lifetime middle infielder. They shifted him over to third. You might remember in Chicago, Featherston played third and played a terrific third base, but he hurt his back, went on the disabled list, necessitating a move, and that move, Ryan Jackson coming up, filling the gap at third base.
That ball hit hard. Stretch. Stretch. Trout back, can't get it. Off his glove, so that'll be Avi at second base to lead it off here in the second.
It
That's
is
his 14th double.
A two-base hit, and I think Mike Trout would tell you that he probably should have had that. For him, much more of a routine catch than for most. He's measuring this ball all the way. He goes up, it hits right off the middle of the glove and bounds away. He makes these routinely.
Well, he'll be the first to tell you. Any good outfielder will tell you if they get there, get the glove on it. It should be caught. As here is Trace. Takes the bunt, takes the ball. Took that pitch nicely. And the count 2-0.
Well, from a pitching standpoint, you know the hitter is trying to hit the ball to the right side. So you're trying to throw the ball inside, preferably inside for strikes, but he hasn't been able to do it. He's fallen behind 2-0. Last night, Mike Trout made one of the real good catches of this year. That was against Houston Street. This ball in the gap, it looked like it was going to be a two-base hit and a game ender. Mike Scioscia, talking about this, said it was one of the great catches he's seen only because he covered so much ground that at the last instant took it right off the grass and sent the game into extras, a game they eventually wound up losing.
Well, Mike Trout thinks he should catch everything.
And as good as he is, he catches most everything.
He does. I don't think we've seen anybody since Torrey Hunter on the highlight reels more than Mike Trout.
Well, he's just shaking his head. He still is upset that he couldn't catch that leadoff fly ball that turned into a two-base hit because it hit the middle of the glove.
And he yanks that one foul. So 3-2 the count. Trace, he's been very impressive since being called up to the major leagues. 6 for 12 with a homer, a double. He really hadn't had a chance to show you his defensive prowess. He made one pretty good catch, but it was an easy one for him. Outside of that, everything's been routine. And that is going foul. But he's a good outfielder. A good base runner. And just 24 years old. And there's a good at bat. So the first two men aboard. It could be the duck on the pond, but from what we've seen of him, he looks very composed and very patient up there at the plate. So here's Alexei.
Alexei took a look down at Joe McEwing. See if Robin wants anything in this situation. Ryan Jackson thinks he does. He's in a step at third base.
Going on the grass at first.
That's a pretty good pitch, and it went Alexei's way.
There's an old saying in baseball that still holds true. You know what guys can do. You got to find out what they can't do, and then don't ask them to do it. Alexei been here for a long time, and he's shown us he's really not a good bunter.
He will occasionally actually bunt for a base hit much better than he can bunt when he's trying to sacrifice.
Yeah. Yep. That's true.
Yep.
Some guys, there have been guys over the years like that. They were better bunting for hits than they were for trying to square around. That squaring around gets guys out of a rhythm. best bag. The majority is all. Everything has exceptions, but the majority of real good bunters that I've seen, especially bunting for sacrifice, are guys who don't square around. They just drop the back foot back and then turn the upper torso towards the pitcher and try to catch the ball with the bat.
Well, the key is getting in front of the box, and Alexei has already done that. You get up in the front of the box, you make sure that the bat is at the front of the plate so that when you do bunt the ball, it's already in fair territory.
Well, the key is having a good technique, and that's something that Alexei has not had. That's going to be an infield fly rule caught. So, 1 out. And here's Tyler Saladino at 244, 3 homers. He's driven in 8.
This has been one of the reasons why this year the ball club is under 500, and that's been getting runners on hasn't seemed to be a big problem. Getting them over has been a huge problem. Getting them over, getting them in has not been easy for the ball club all year long.
How many times? How many times? Man on second, nobody out. Leave him right there. Man on second, third, nobody out. And don't score. Tyler, that's into right field. Kolb getting in shape. There's a throw. So runners at the corners now, 2 down. So if we got the bunt over, or if there was a bunt attempt, we got it over. It'd be 1-0. But again, find out what they can't do and then don't ask them to do it.
Heaney has 3 wild pitches this year, but he's got a man behind the plate and Carlos Perez that's a very good defender.
And he's got a man at the plate who was 2 for 2 against him last week.
Perez looked over into the dugout to see what Mike Scioscia wanted him to do in the event that Trace Thompson takes off and tries to steal second.
Trace has yet to attempt a stolen base, but he had 11 down at Charlotte.
Good slider, and he expanded his zone and swung. What's the philosophy of Crone playing first base in front of Thompson?
I love that positioning. You've seen, I always thought that holding a guy who could run on first base was absolutely giving him a little bit of an advantage. And I think over the years it's proven to be pretty much the case. If you play off the bag a step, step and a half, 2 steps maybe sometimes, he's got to think about you going back. So it's taking him out of his rhythm, his technique, so to speak, his thinking, his process, his thought process.
And also, wouldn't you have greater range to your right?
Yeah, but the biggest thing on a guy who can really run is getting him thinking. You'll see a Hosmer do it. You'll see a Teixeira do it. You'll see guys in the past who are really good, Mattingly's and guys like that who are terrific first basemen. And sometimes even playing behind them. Get right up behind them.
Here's where Avi has got to be aware of a breaking ball in the dirt. He's got Tyler down 0-2. It looked on the last pitch like Perez was setting up low and in. He patted the ground, trying to convince Heaney to throw it down there that he was going to be able to block it.
He wants the slider. There he goes. And it's moot. We get the first 2 guys on. Once again, and once again, nothing. a golden opportunity right there to do a couple of things and came up empty.
One of the things Mike Scioscia said before the game when they asked him about how much can Trout and Pujols take you, he said, look, they're two terrific players and two wonderful hitters, he said, but they can't carry the whole load. And if the guys don't start to pick it up a bit, both in front of him and behind him, it's going to be a tough job of winning.
That's not a Mike Scioscia type ball club.
This one isn't, no.
It's just that simple.
No, he wants to see his team with a great defense and everybody who can run, bunt, hit and run, and everything else that goes with it. This team, just 36 stolen bases. They usually have that the first month of the season.
Well, as I mentioned to you a few years ago, we played them towards the end of spring training. They had over 50 in spring training.
Yep.
Offense puts fannies in seats. Defense wins championships. He'd much rather have a team that's going to hit a few home runs, but yet execute. Man on second, they get him over and get him in. Man on first and second, they get him over. Baseball 101. For some reason, it always seems to work pretty well.
It has for a long time,
yeah.
And nothing's changed.
And that's something that will not change in the future. In Chicago, we have probably the greatest golf market in the world. Certainly some of the greatest golf courses in the world. And so we have a lot of people out there watching tonight who love golf. And they will understand when I say what we're talking about is similar analogy would be going out and hitting 15 or 16 greens and shooting 72 and 73. Rather than going out and hitting 8 or 9 greens and shooting 70, 71. You got to make putts. In golf, you got to do the fundamentals in baseball. That's into left field, way back, and it's 1-0.
That was a fastball. It was up and out over the plate. Last time out against the Angels, Carlos didn't make many mistakes, but this time he got one up to the wrong guy. Albert hits his 32nd. He's now driven in 68. And we'll take a look at the location on the Xfinity pitch tracks. You see 94, but it's up and out over the plate. And Albert doesn't miss it.
So here's C.J. Cron. Right now has 552 home runs.
I was talking with Don Baylor, who is the hitting coach of this team and a wonderful hitter during his day. And he was talking about coming up with Baltimore, which is very similar.
He gone.
Very similar to coming up with, years ago, Minnesota Twins coming up with the St. Louis Cardinals. You just learned how to play baseball. And he said you couldn't get on the field in the major leagues with Baltimore getting up through their system without knowing how to play winning baseball. And that was the way with Minnesota for many years, and that was the way with St. Louis. And Don came up through the Orioles system along with Bobby Grich and Johnny Oates. They all came up together.
Dodgers were in that category.
Yeah, for many years, they were.
Well, those days are gone, and I'm not talking disparagingly about these guys today because it's just not their fault. It's just that simple. These guys are better talents than we were individually, but they're not better teams than we were because back in those days there were 16 teams.
And well, I was going to say they get up more quickly today.
Today they get up here so fast they don't have a chance to go through that system or a system and learn the fundamentals. And then if the manager can't get through to them, which happens a lot of times, then it's not going to get done. And a lot of times it's not the manager's fault. It's not the manager's fault here. It's not Todd Stevens' fault here that we have some guys that can't bunt. They have tried to get them to bunt and they can't do it. It's just that simple.
Same thing with a whole lot of fundamentals, because they go over fundamentals ad nauseum from the time spring training starts to where they are right now.
In spring training, you know how much time I spend on the backfields. I watch them every day. They go for fundamentals, from A to Z each and every day, and all of a sudden the season starts and it looks like they hadn't even been to spring training. I feel bad for Robin, and I feel bad for the coaches because they're at the ballpark before the players, and most of them are there after the players leave. They work their behinds off. They tell them the right things to do, and they don't get done. That's why it's so exasperating for guys like yourself and me who are fans of this ball club, who watch them, who know what goes on behind the scenes, and then it's very disappointing is the best way to put it. But the home run by Pujols is 1-0.
St. Xavier University. Come out to the ballpark for a tribute to the King of Rock and Roll, featuring performances by an Elvis tribute artist and a post-game fireworks show. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com.
1-0 bad guys. It'll be Beckham. Then back to the top of the order with Eaton and Abreu. And John Reynolds, our Emmy Award-winning stage manager and consort to many, many Hollywood celebrities, was telling us that Albert, when he was going bad and people were saying he might be washed up, the reason he wasn't hitting because he had plantar fasciitis. You can't hit when you got that.
No, and he looks like a completely different hitter this year than he has certainly for the last year and a half.
That's one out. And that'll bring up Eaton. Now, Albert's 35 years old now, but if you stand next to him, you don't realize in his uniform when you're watching him on TV or hadn't stood close to him how big he is. He's a big, strong man.
Well, they list him at 230, but he's bigger than that.
And it's not any flab in there. And as long as he can turn the fastball around, which he can, he's going to be a force when he gets to the point, which it might later on down the road, 3 or 4 years from now, that he can't, then that's a different story.
Well, last year he had 28 home runs in 159 games. Only fanned 71 times, and that's been the trademark of his career. He's never struck out 100 times in a season, despite the fact that he's been one of the most prolific sluggers in the major leagues.
Well, there's a base hit. So 1 out, 1 on. But if you're talking about plantar fasciitis, the poster child for that to me is Joakim Noah. A few years ago, he absolutely got the Bulls to the playoffs playing with plantar fasciitis. Basketball, not baseball, basketball.
Had no cartilage in the knees, Makes for a very painful experience on the hardwood.
Plantar fasciitis is worse. Here's Abreu. He struck out on a changeup. I was watching that man play, and I'll tell you what, I couldn't believe it. Outfield straight up. Bit of a gap out there in right center. Oh.
He's given up 5 home runs, and that's in under 60 innings.
There's a strike. Yesterday, JR tells us it's King. Elvis Presley died 38 years ago. There's a guy I never met I would love. I met some people who knew him pretty well, and they said they just loved him. They said he was a wonderful person. That got him. So he'll go to first base. He gets hit again.
This one he's going to have to limp off. Only the 4th man that he's hit this year. And for Jose, well, he's no stranger to getting hit. That's the 13th time he's been hit. He leads the club by a wide margin, and they're going to take a look at that.
How many times has Rizzo been hit? 24?
24 times.
Well, one of the reasons, two biggest reasons. First of all, guys hit themselves a lot in today's game. The next thing is a lot of guys don't know how to pitch inside.
No, and Rizzo's right on top of the plate, and he gets hit in the back arm a lot. Jose is not on top of the plate, but this one just followed him, and not much that he could do with that.
That's going to hunt anybody down right there.
And if you do try to get out of the way, it's going to roll after you.
All right, we had 2 on nobody out. Now we got 2 on 1 out. Let's see if we can do something with this scenario. Melky grounded out to Ibar.
Melky's been swinging it well from both sides of the plate. His last 23, hitting .359. He's hit 4 home runs, 13 doubles. But more importantly, the runs batted in and the runs scored, 22 and 17 respectively.
39 accounted for in 23 games. Uh-oh. Bad throw, and here comes a run, so we're going to get some help. Giovitella. That's his 11th error.
That's been the biggest problem that Johnny Giovitella's had during the course of his brief career, and that is he can hit, but he's got trouble on the defensive end of the equation. He just absolutely airmailed Crone at first base. This is an easy 2. Melky out in front of a breaking ball, and he gets it, and there's no chance. I mean, Abreu doesn't even come close to breaking it up. He can't get down there quickly enough. He's got a clear throw, and he throws it away.
So it's a 1-1 tie. And here's Ivy. He doubled. Hit a ball deep in center field at Trout. Had the pocket of his glove on it. Couldn't hold it. And for him, that wouldn't have even been what you would call an outstanding catch. Not for him.
Nope.
That'd be a routine play. And when you say something about a play like that and a player like that. That's a compliment.
Error number 66 for the Angels. We talked about the fact that it's not exactly the type of club that Mike Scioscia is used to having wearing those Angel uniforms.
And there's a base hit. So since you can't assume a double play, that turns that run into an earned run.
Here comes Mike Butcher, the pitching coach. He wants to talk to Heaney, and I'm sure one of the things he's going to mention to him is don't think about what happened in this inning. It's not relevant at this point. You just have to go out there, you get out Thompson, you keep this game tied and turn it over to the offense. You always leave them with something positive. The Angels, since the 23rd of July, it's the worst in the major leagues. The batting average at .222, the runs per game 3.3, home runs just 18, ERA well above 4.5, with starters ERA up over 5, and of course home runs allowed at 31. So things are not going real well. However, they do play well in this ballpark.
So here's Trace. He had a good at bat last inning, drawing a walk. In a situation he was trying to get Avi over to third. As Avi was on second, nobody out. Let's really make him pay here. Rips that one just foul. Hit it very hard. Fan with a glove makes the play.
Last time up, Trace saw everything inside from Heaney. This time up, the first pitch was inside. So he was obviously looking inside with the second pitch, and he ripped it but foul.
Gap in right center. And a big pitch to 1-1 goes Trace's way. Count 3-1.
Heaney's a guy with pretty good control, and yet he hasn't been able to get the ball over the plate to Trace. He walked him the first time, on the verge of doing it again here. He only had 9 walks in 57 innings coming into action tonight.
That's in the center field off the end of the bat. But we get a gift run, we'll take it. And it's tied at 1.
Sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, visit jeffvuk.com because Nationwide is on your side.
Carlos Perez, Ryan Jackson, and back to the top of the order with Shane Victorino. 1-1 tie. Carlos at 226, a couple of homers, he's driven in 14. Takes fastball strike. There's a base hit.
Sox fans, join us on Saturday, August 29th at 6:10 as our White Sox take on the Mariners. Also, first 20,000 fans will receive a Jermaine Dye World Series Moment bobblehead presented by Pepsi. For tickets, call 866-SOX-GAME or visit whitesox.com. Here's a few Sox fans that made the trip down to take in this 4-game series.
And here's Ryan Jackson.
Really a huge series for both teams. Angels come in a half game out of the wild card pursuit, knowing that Baltimore has already won. They're playing good solid baseball. They moved their record to 61 and 56.
And they're going to do the bunt. And he almost threw it away.
We've seen so many pitchers just lobbing the ball to first base instead of getting a little something on it. And usually when they do, it doesn't go where they intended to go. But fortunately, Gordon Beckham was able to reach out, get it, and still get the bag. Little lob to first. Gordon with the bare hand. That could have been disastrous if it winds up in right field, which it almost did.
So here's Victorino. Went out to Saladino. Takes that pitch outside.
Victorino combined between the Red Sox and Angels. Came in hitting .240 with a home run, 4 driven in. He just hasn't done much of anything since putting on that Angel uniform.
Pop up right side. Trace coming on. Two down.
Good job of taking control by Trace Thompson as he came in, balled off Beckham and Abreu, and then got the ball back in quickly, so no advancement on the part of Perez.
We've had some pretty good communication among the outfielders this year, guys taking control, as opposed to last year, and certainly part of the year part of that, in 13. It was brutal then. Here's Calhoun. He grounded out to Beckham.
The runners in scoring position, Cole Calhoun has been very good. 323 for a young hitter. That's excellent.
Oh, he's good. There's no question about that. Takes that strike. Cleveland beat Boston 8-2 at Fenway. Top of the ninth in the Bronx, tied at 7 with Minnesota. Steve told you Baltimore beat Oakland 4-2. That's a pop up, and that's going to retire the side. We'll go to the fourth, tied at 1.
A trip to New York to see the White Sox battle the Yankees. You'll also get a chance to throw out the first pitch at a White Sox game, and there are great offers from Famous Dave's and discount White Sox tickets. Head to your local Famous Dave's today for your chance to be a winner. Between innings, Robin went over to Carlos, and I'm sure he's talking to him about making a solid throw to first base.
You can bet on it.
Yep.
So here is Alexei. He popped up to Heaney. First trip. Outfield, straight up. Spread out a little bit. Small gap in right center. Jackson back a step, then off the line at third. Way out in front.
Good straight change, very good motion, and good release point. Same release point in motion as the fastball, only it was 83 instead of 93.
Count hangs at 1-2.
Last 8, things going pretty well for Alexei.
One tie here in game 1 of this 4-game series and this 7-game road trip.
In this at bat, Heaney has kept everything down.
And a little pop up into short center. One out. That'll bring up Saladino.
One of the most amazing parts about what the Angels did for some moves, they sent down Matt Shoemaker, who pitched against us, had a very tough outing against our ball club, followed it up with a very tough outing against Kansas City. They sent him to the minor leagues.
Trout, 2 down.
Not that it was unusual for a player to be sent down, but it is unusual for a pitcher who went 16-4 last year to get sent down, especially because he was throwing very well and all of a sudden fell on some hard times in a couple of games. And like Scioscia said before the game, that he's still in our plans, but we have to send him down to work out the difficulties that he was experiencing the last couple times out.
Here's Tyler. He struck out his first trip. Takes first pitch strike. That one at 90. He is a crafty southpaw, cunning and guile, soft tossing left hand. Who in the past have given our club fits.
He doesn't throw as many ground balls as you would think. The ball obviously doesn't sink. He does keep a lot of pitches down, but hitters hit a lot of pitches in the air against him.
Well, that game he pitched against us last Wednesday, 5 2/3, gave up 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 walk, had 4 strikeouts, and really pitched a pretty good ball game.
We see the disparity his first 6 starts and the last couple.
Little top hand on that one, and a 1-2-3 inning. So we'll go to the bottom of the 4th, still 1-1.
White Sox debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Bank, member FDIC.
Mike Trout, Albert Pujols, and C.J. Cron. Here in their half of the 4th inning, 1-3-0 for us, 1-2, and a big 1 for them. That 1 is the reason we got on the board. An error. Mike grounded out to Alexei.
One of the reasons why the Angels had such a tough time in getting swept at U.S. Cellular Field was the fact that they went 1 for 32 with runners in scoring position. You are not going to win too many games like that, even though they were in the ball games. Eventually, they lost them all.
If you look at the Angel Ball Club, really, it's just not a social club as we talked. It's just not a real good ball club.
Now they've got to get some balance in this lineup. They got some right-handed guys that can swing it. They certainly would like to have a left-handed difference maker, a guy who can drive in some runs from the left side.
Well, of course, they've got Mike, Pujols, Calhoun, and Ibar is a good player. Eric Ibar is a good player. He's been a good player for a long time, and he's going to continue to be. But that's just not going to get it done.
No, and Ibar doesn't walk very much, and he's also driven in only 35, so he's can't carry a ball club. He is a good role player, however.
And there is the leadoff walk.
Here's our Mazda replay, and it came on a fastball right down the middle of the second inning. And Albert, his 32nd home run, is 68 driven in. At the time, put the Angels on top 1-0.
No, but a skipper can only play with what he's got.
That's it.
First pitch strike.
But these days, he and the general manager, Bill Stoneman, who was a former general manager, get along pretty well. They teamed up to win a World Series, and now Bill Stoneman is back in the job, at least for the time being.
Well, the game is to the point today that there are a greater percentage of managers don't have much to say about in the acquisition or the evaluation of players. It used to be they would talk to the general manager would talk to the manager, they would go over Sammy Smith, or they would go over Steve Stone and come to some sort of a conclusion. Today what happens a lot of times is the general manager call a manager and say, hey, we just got Steve Stone.
I'm making a deal. Oh, by the way, you got a new player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know that was what happened with Pinello when he was with the Cubs quite a bit. I think his time there, he told me there were 14 acquisitions, and he played a part in zero. Zero. One of the best managers in the game, and never got a chance to opine, as Bill O'Reilly would say,
about what was going on,
if he wanted him or not. I think that's going to be a changed scenario here now.
I don't doubt that for a minute, but Bill Stoneman is still the interim GM, and not too sure who will come on.
Well, the first thing is you don't know if Bill Stoneman wants him.
No, I think at this point of his career, he's
been there and done it, and he does a good job. So I don't know if he wants to go through all that BS.
He probably
again.
wants to take a step back and help whoever's going to come in, and he's going to have a say-so on who's going to come in.
Sure, he should have. He should have. They got him picked off. He gone. That's the 5th time he's now 10 for 15 in stolen base attempts.
Good job by Jose of getting an angle to make this throw. You can see he comes in toward the grass to make sure he's got a good angle, throws it to Gordon right on the money, and they cut down Trout, which could turn out to be a very big play.
2-2 pitch out in front.
Over the course of his career, Albert has been unbelievably good. 314, 552 home runs, 576 on the doubles.
Trace over. Well, Pujols, one of only 6 players to log 13 30-plus home run seasons, but he's the only one to do it in his first 15 years. Now, that'll tell you something. Plus, he is over 250 games over 500 in his career.
Albert's been a great player for a long time. They spent a great deal of money to get him over here as a free agent, and he's been worth it because he put a lot of people in the seats as soon as they signed him. All of those season tickets drastically went up.
Well, if I'd been living out here, they'd have got my money too.
He's been fun to watch.
Cron struck out. That's broken bat. So a Kansas City special.
CJ had a few of those at U.S. Cellular Field. Didn't hit the ball real hard. Had some good luck, however, and this time Carlos gets inside on him.
We had 2 infield hits in that Wednesday game.
Yes. And I think a couple of bloopers in the other one.
In the first game. Here's Ibar. Takes first pitch strike.
Ibar, much better hitter from the right side, although his power comes as a left-hand hitter. He's got many more left-handed at-bats, but hitting just under 300 as a right-hand hitter.
I was talking with some Angel people before the game, and they said that Ibar has been having to play such a wide range at shortstop that he's just about worn out.
Well, he got hurt diving in the series in Chicago, and in fact they said he's one of the toughest guys around, and he had to miss a couple of games. In fact, he missed 3 of them at Kansas City because he just had some neck and back problems. So this is a guy that plays most all the time, but on the dive he jarred himself, and it's rare that he misses games.
Well, here's your typical Mike Scioscia player right here. Not going to hit a lot of home runs, but he's going to catch everything in sight. He's going to steal you some bases. He's going to get some big base hits, and he knows how to play the game. Two and one to count. Out and around that one. Down past Gary DeSarcina.
Alfredo Griffin at first base. He's been there a long time for Mike Scioscia.
Nino Ebel, the bench coach. There he goes. And there's a one hopper. And that'll retire the side. We're into the 5th, tied at 1.
Home game until August 26th. Will receive a Hubbard Inn game card, good for 20% off a meal at the Hubbard Inn, Barn and Company, and Juliet's. Purchase tickets today by visiting WhiteSox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
We have finished 4. So here in the 5th, it'll be Beckham, then back to the top of the order with Adam Eaton and Jose Abreu. First pitch strike. Gordon went back to the pitcher. Bounced out 1-3. Took that pitch nicely, and the count evens at 1.
Gordon wound up last season here with the Angels. Pretty consistent playing conditions here.
Jackson, long peg in time. So here's Adam. Adam 1 for 2 with a run scored.
Jackson in close at third, as is Crone at first.
First pitch strike. Outfield for the most part straight up and spread out, spaced about equidistant. Just off the corner. Out the middle, Giavotella. Two down, and here comes Abreu. Jose struck out his first trip, then was hit by a pitch in the 3rd inning.
You can certainly use a pretzel, but maybe not that big a pretzel. You'll be here through Thursday trying to eat it. Jose over the last 24 hitting .333, 8 home runs, 22 driven in to go with those 6 doubles, and 20 runs scored.
That ball hit down the right field line. Just foul.
Angels have had pretty good luck against our Sox here. They got a 5-game winning streak, and they've won 11 of the last 14 against our Sox here at Angel Stadium.
Got him. He knew it. We're halfway home, tied at 1. The lower third of their order, Giovatello, Perez, and Jackson to face our 22-year-old southpaw Carlos Rodon. Giovatello 0 for 1, grounded out to his counterpart, Gordon Beckham. Good pitch, didn't get it. So the count 2-0. Now feels slightly to the right. Come back and get it. No walks.
Giovatello, one of the few Angels getting it done in August. He's hitting .302 and he's hit safely in 20 of his last 24 games. So offense has not been the problem.
There's one. So there's, for the second inning in a row, the leadoff walk.
Hey, Sox fans, check out the Xfinity Fundamentals deck overlooking left field at U.S. Cellular Field. It's accessible from the 100, 300, and 500 levels. Young Sox fans can learn baseball fundamentals from Chicago White Sox Training Academy coaches. Space features batting and pitching cages, base running areas, and more skill instruction. It's all from Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
Here's Carlos Perez. Takes first pitch strike. Carlos swinging just a little bit late and lined a line shot ground ball base hit between first and second. One 3-0 for us, 1 3-1 for them. Giovatello not a real threat. He's 2 for 3 in stolen bases. You don't necessarily have to change your delivery to the plate with a slide step on Giovatello.
No, and that's called by Tyler Flowers. Throw overs, pitch outs, and slide steps.
Yeah, they have to do everything for you pitchers.
No, that's the catcher you got to do it for.
Everything for you pitchers. You got to tell him when you throw over to first, when you got a slide step coming home.
I think they've taken a whole lot.
I think it's great because you don't want pitchers thinking.
Yeah, they've taken a whole lot out of the catcher's hands is what it amounts to. And that one almost thrown away, but Jose makes a nice play. You got a former catcher in Mark Parent.
He's just a conduit. What they've taken is out of the pitcher's hands, so he doesn't have to think. He just relays what Mark Parent is telling him to do. That's low. The old saying, don't think you hurt the club. All right, take your time, boys. Back them up. Boy, it's nice just to see routine plays made.
Well, with Gordon at second base, he's going to make sure that he gets his throw off regardless of what happens. And this is a routine 5-4-3. Tyler with a good solid throw, gets it over there quickly. And Gordon just throws it right on the button.
Here's Ryan Jackson. He had a sacrifice bunt after Perez led off the third with a single. Yeah, they don't want pitchers directing any traffic anymore.
No, defensive meetings before the game now are statistically driven. They are. I mean, what percentage goes where? Yeah. In fact, Socher was talking about that before the game in the play that Trout made. He said it was against Paulo Orlando, and he said, you know, the defensive stat says 80% of the time he's going to hit the ball in a certain place. He goes, now, that doesn't mean that if a pitcher misses his spot, it's necessarily going to go there. It just means what has happened to this point. So we defend with the percentages, and if 80% says he's going to hit it there, that's how we defend. Now, we hope the pitcher can get it to the spot where usually he can hit it there, but sometimes it doesn't work that way because of the human element. And they were talking about defensive positioning.
Well, they just changed it. He gone. He knew it. And we're into the sixth, still tied at 1.
Text Subway to 97999 right now for your chance to win 6 meals from the Simple 6 menu from Subway. Message and data rates may apply. Subway, eat fresh.
One tie. Cabrera, Garcia, and Trace Thompson to face Andrew Heaney, 24-year-old. Soft tossing left-hander.
Be nice for Melky to get on because Avi is 2 for 2.
You know, getting back to Trout making that play because 80% of the time Paulo Orlando hits it way. We used to say, hey, listen, Paulo's going to hit almost everything to right center. It's the same thing as them putting it on a thing, on a sheet. And you, as you said, pitch him away, play him away.
That was pretty much it.
That was it.
Pitch him away and play him away, and that's where he's going to hit the ball.
It's the same thing, just a different dynamic. There's a different semantic.
Now, Mike went on to say also, he said, look, my pitcher knows exactly how to pitch him because he knows how we're going to play them. However, because he can't throw a pitch there all the time, sometimes you hit it away from the defense, and when you do that, there's really nothing you can do. It looks like we might be out of position when it was just human error.
Well, that's one reason that one of the greatest shortstops to ever play the game with some of the greatest range couldn't run a lick. And that was Cal Ripken Jr. Just seemed like every time a ball was hit, it was hit right at him. There's that ball in the center field. That's a can of corn. Cal Ripken Jr., of course, was a great Hall of Fame shortstop for the Orioles, who was a big man who couldn't run, and yet he caught everything out there at shortstop.
Might never have been a Hall of Fame shortstop. Might have been a Hall of Fame third baseman, because when I was there and he came up as a third baseman, and everybody thought that, well, he was just too big to move to shortstop except for Earl. Earl Weaver, the Hall of Fame manager, thought there's absolutely no reason why he can't play shortstop. We're going to play him there and see what happens. And, of course, well, the rest is history.
Yeah, it is. And he wound up, in essence, not for every Baltimore pitcher, but for a few of them, calling the game, calling the pitches, which is not uncommon back in those days. To have an infielder calling the pitches, they had their own system, so to speak. Ivy has doubled and singled.
We talked about the fact that Heaney doesn't throw many ground balls. In the last month, he's 12th lowest in 139 qualified starters at throwing ground balls. For whatever reason, people hit whatever he throws in the air, and they do it consistently.
Well, you know, I love numbers, and people know that I was very outspoken about sabermetrics, and still am to a degree, because there's a place for sabermetrics in baseball. But there's so many things that you can't quantify. There's so many things that you cannot get a machine to spit out to you on what's going to happen, such as one of the best shortstops range-wise in the game who couldn't run, and that was Cal. Weaver taught his guys, and a lot of managers taught the second baseman, get to throw off. Make sure you get to throw off on a double play.
Oh, they have to do that.
Yeah.
They can't do that, they won't be there.
And you got a lot of second basemen and shortstops who won't come close to getting that throw off unless they're firing across the bag where they can't make a good throw because they're scared of getting hit. You can't put that. So other second basemen like a Beckham or whoever going to stand there and take the hit, but they're going to get the throw off. Those things that you can't put into a machine. No, I'm happy to see numbers coming in because it extends our fan base, expands it. That's into center field. Here comes Trout. 2 down.
He had to get a good break on that, and that ball was hit off the end of the bat. Center fielders with line drives hit at him. It's the most difficult play they have, but if you can look at the arc, and that arc was going down, Trout just took off, got a great break, and made the play easily.
Chase has walked and he's gone out to center. There you go. So good speed aboard.
Heaney probably thinking, look, I kept everything inside the first 2 at bats until I finally got the ball away from him to get the last at bat on a fly ball to center. This time, early in the count, he went away and Trace was able to take it. Hit a line drive to left field, pull an outside pitch, which is something he hadn't shown Heaney he could do.
He's now 7 for 14 since being called up.
Pretty impressive.
With a homer and a double.
But I agree with you in the fact that we just haven't seen how good a defender he is because he hasn't had any difficult plays.
Well, you'll see when he gets the chance. He's good. Every year he's been with us, I've watched him in spring training going over in the backfields, and you could just see him growing. Just getting better, 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 better. I've seen him make a couple of bad plays in the outfield, but I've also seen him make a bunch of outstanding catches out there, too. And you get that kind of range, you're going to make some mistakes. Watch out. Good block by Crum.
Perez likes to throw, and he's good at it. That wasn't one of his better efforts, as he couldn't get a whole lot on the throw, and C.J. Cron was able to come off the bag and smother it.
One of the things I'm just really pleased about is seeing some guys coming up through our system that we signed. Your Sanchez, your Saladino, your Trace Thompsons. And of course, Rodon signed last year. That was not a hard pick there, but seeing guys who are being developed in our White Sox system. And we got some more down there that are going to be coming as well. Two and one to count to Alexei. And if you notice, all three of those guys have good baseball acumen. They all three know how to play the game. One of the reasons you're seeing so much movement in young players, especially who have some talent in the game, is because they got the talent, but they don't know how to play.
Well, there used to be a certain amount of at-bats or a certain amount of innings you would expect out of your pitcher or player before you got to the major leagues, but those things now are very much skewed because of the fact that although there's better athletes, we've talked about it, they get up more quickly and they don't have a chance to get that firm base of understanding how to play professional baseball, Major League Baseball, and winning baseball all wrapped into one before they get to the major leagues. And so they come up here with outstanding skills, except they have to learn how to play Major League Baseball and winning baseball in the major league.
Well, to capsulize that is the old saying, you got to be bad before you can be good. And where you get bad is by having some bad at bats and strikeouts a lot, making errors a lot in the minor leagues. And according to where you come up from, you go to high school and college. That's experience, and you know what experience is. That's something you got when you didn't want to get it. Two and two. Watch out. Kept his foot on the bag.
Well, fortunately, he was able to read the move to first because Trace was off to second base and somehow was able to get back to first. And what Mike Scioscia, I think, wants to look at is, did he come off the bag?
No, he's safe. He's got his toe on the bag.
And that's what Mike will see if he takes a look at it. But he did a good job because normally
he
a
was
normal
going.
guy without the reflexes would have been picked off.
That's right.
And there's Dino Ebel. He's checking it. And Mike is going to settle back.
Now hit a gapper. Alexei. Too much time.
Lexi wanted to make sure that Ed Hickox acknowledged the fact he was calling timeout because at first he didn't get it. He had to get back in real quickly, and fortunately, Heaney didn't throw it.
The day before yesterday, Melky called timeout and didn't get it.
You have to wait for the acknowledgement.
That's into center field. Trace will make that turn. He's into third. Well, he's got those long, loping strides. So runners at the corners, two down.
This one is hit off the end of the bat. There's not a whole lot on it. And Givatella, who was playing there, dives and just has the ball get by him.
have a little continuation hitting there. Here's Tyler. Tyler went out fairly deep to right, and he popped up to center. Take him right back to the middle, Tyler. He's the guy that's in the jam, not you.
Perez giving the infield the signs if Alexei decides to take off. They know he's the #1 base stealer on this team.
Yeah, Robin might wait to see if he gets 2 strikes. That's thrown away.
Well, McEwen giving a set of signs. I wouldn't think that Perez would throw through, not with the speed of Trace Thompson at third base.
Oh, nice play by Perez. That hit him. So now Tyler goes to first. Here comes Scioscia. That will load him up.
Second man that Heaney has hit. Both off the left foot. Saladino can't get out of the way, just as Abreu could not get out of the way in the 3rd inning. So as Mike Butcher has his say. This all happening with 2 out, nobody on. The base hit by Thompson, the base hit by Ramirez, and now the hit batsman has given the Sox a chance with pretty good speed on the base paths all the way around.
So Butcher goes back, and here's Tyler. Come on, Tyler. Right man, right spot, right time, right now.
Where were the bases loaded? Tyler would like to work on that. Starting right here.
Takes ball 1. Big pitch right there. Tyler was 2 for 2 off Heaney last week. Double and a single. Oh, yeah. Catbird seat. He's the one in trouble, Tyler, not you, man.
The run expectancy with the bases loaded and 2 outs, the Sox well below league average.
That was questionable. Call got him right back. Heaney back into the at-bat. 2-2.
All 4 pitches approximately the same spot as he's trying to stay away from Tyler. And if you take a look at all 4 of these, you'll realize that it's a 2-2 count and not one is really in the zone, as Tyler trying to go to right field with a pitch away.
That one call can change the whole dynamic of an at-bat, ergo the game. Just got a piece of it.
Fernando Salas loosening in the pen. Heaney about ready to deliver his 98th pitch.
Full count.
That one, I think, hit off of Ed Hickox. Otherwise, might have gone to the screen. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, gets right by. That one went through the wickets of Carlos Perez and hit the right foot of Ed Hickox. Otherwise, that's a run. So that's a big break for the Angels.
That's the first pitch that's had part of the plate. And they had a little bitty bit of it.
By and large, he stayed away with the changeups and the fastballs, trying to go down and in with the sliders.
Once again, the payoff pitch. And Tyler is hot. Victorino takes the bunt, takes the strike.
Ellis would like to reverse the trend. He's walked the leadoff hitter in each of the last two innings, but didn't pay the price for it as he's thrown some pretty good pitches when he has to.
Here's that one foul.
Here's the last pitch of Tyler Flowers. He thought it was down. Ed Hickox thought it had a piece of the zone, and Tyler real unhappy with that call.
Carlos Perez thought it was low too. He gone. Watch Perez right here. We're going to show you that pitch to Flowers again. As here is Cole Calhoun, grounded to second, popped up to Saladino. That was a nasty slider. Now take a look at Perez. He'll tell you what the pitch was. That's in the left center field. That's kind of corner for Adam. Two down, and here's Mike Trout. He's grounded to short and walked, then he was caught stealing.
This is the best way to face Trout with 2 outs and nobody on. He leads his team and runs
that right.
batted in with 71.
Bad wrist and all, this is the best way to face him. Takes first pitch strike.
This is a pretty good stat when you look at most pitches per plate appearance. Mike Trout leading the way just barely over Chris Carter, Curtis Granderson, and Carlos Santana.
Chops that one foul. Down hangs at 1-2.
There's only been 240 homer seasons in Angels history, and Trout on a pace for 46 this year.
He gone. And that'll retire the side. We're into the 7th.
Endo Salas comes into the game, and 2-1 his ERA, a touch over 4 on for the 53rd time. Opponent's hitting just .231, which is a pretty good number. That's 40 hits and 46 in the third innings. And so Heaney will get yet another no decision in his 2 starts against our Sox. First time the game went 13, and the Sox were winning it at U.S. Cellular Field, so Heaney threw the ball pretty well. He did hit 2, walking only 1 and fanning 4.
Yes, he did. Second game he's pitched well against us. Soft tossing left-handers, they give us a lot of problems.
Seems like he's got a pretty good idea about what to throw, when to throw it, and how hard to throw it.
Well, the only run we got was a gift.
Yeah, it was that.
It should have been an unearned run, but because of the base hit, the Aviat turned it into an earned run on the bad throw. So here is Beckham, 30-year-old right-hander, first pitch strike last year, 5-0 with a 3.38 ERA with the Angels out of Mexico. Got a little spinner upstairs and couldn't get to it.
Salas added the Cardinal organization, originally got to the major leagues with them in 2010.
Out of play. Got him. Off the plate. Hitters don't know what to look for tonight. Both sides, they don't know what to look for. Very, very inconsistent strike zone. Here's Adam. But as I say, that's for both sides, not just us. Left side pop up. Victorino's taking charge.
Join the WhiteSox.com blacklist for exclusive White Sox content all year long, including news and video updates, ticket offers, breaking alerts, and more. Visit WhiteSox.com/blacklist to register today.
So here's Abreu. He was 0 for 2 against Heaney. He was hit by a pitch, and twice he struck out. One swinging on a changeup, the other called on a fastball. Little spinner, get me over breaking ball. One and one.
In a tie ball game, Victorino is playing very shallow left field, which is somewhat surprising as we are in the 7th inning. Trout is back and shaded over to right center, and Calhoun is very deep in right. That hit him again.
Well, enough's enough. Enough's enough, whether it's accidental or not. Enough is enough. Somebody's got to get hit over there. You can't just let them freewheel that inside pitching to Abreu, keep hitting him without something being done.
Darryl went over, asked him if he's okay. He said he is. Melky is 0 for 3, but he'll turn around and hit from by far his best side. That's the left side, hitting .295 as a left-hand hitter.
This is one of the biggest strike zones we've seen all year right here.
Good for the
low,
pitchers.
in and out. Oh, it's great for the pitchers. This is a 1-1 game. Should be a 1-0 game.
That time Melky expanded that zone and went up and out of the strike zone to foul it back. Now the outfield is very deep all the way around. There's Dino Ebel, who is motioning the guys to get way back there.
Two out, 3-2 the count. Abreu was hitting that series last week at our place. And it's almost hit a couple more times. Good rip by Melky, just underneath it. Good rip just underneath him.
That was a pitch to hit because unlike the pitch before, which was inside and crowded him, this was out over the plate. He had a good shot at this one.
He had two good swings the last two pitches.
Yep.
Got him. 7th inning stretch, still tied at 1. It's the Angel half of the 7th inning and a 1-1 tie. It'll be Pujols, Cron, and Ibar.
And Albert with just one thing on his mind. He hit a leadoff home run in the 2nd inning to account for the only Angel run, and that's what he has in mind here.
That's like we were discussing in between innings. Right now is not the time to retaliate.
Nope.
In a 1-1 ball game. But we got 3 more out here.
They've shifted on Albert with 3 on the left side.
High pop up. Kyle. And a big bat. Retired.
Good changeup by Carlos as he had Albert well out in front of it and popped it foul.
There's Cron, a strikeout, and a little Kansas City special. A little broken bat single in the left field. Watching this guy take BP, and I'll tell you, he had some monster shots. He's a big man.
He's got 8 of them.
That ball hit deep.
He's got 9 of them. That fastball was belt high out away from Cron, and he had a line drive rocket out of the park. The 2nd solo home run, and the Angels have the lead.
Just their 4th hit. Meanwhile, 2 of them left the premises.
Xfinity Pitch Tracks will show you that that was a slider. He tried to nip the outside corner and couldn't get it by him.
Ibar does not like the call. He's 0 for 2. He went back to Rodon, and he grounded out to Saladino. That is a result of the first pitch. Wanted it up, he got it down.
Joe Smith. I remember him with the Indians. He's a side-arming right-hander
who wears us out.
And he's just really tough. Left-handers will get a look at him. Right-handers, of which is going to be Garcia, Thompson, and Ramirez, due up in the 8th. Don't get a real good look at him.
Adam. 2 down. Smith with a 1.98 ERA against us in his career.
It's not surprising.
Almost 40 games.
There you see the side wheeler.
He got that little quick slider.
Yep. He's one of the few guys I've seen as a side wheeler that he's not susceptible to right-handers even when he leaves it over the inside part of the plate, because it does break late.
That's right. That don't matter. Bigger breaking, slower slider, because the bigger breaking, the slower it's going to be. Those late breakers, That game that Corey Kluber pitched against us and Marietta, both those big right-handers breaking balls, late breaking.
We did learn 2 things in that 6-game series against the Cubs. We don't hit Arrieta. They don't hit Chris Sale.
That's right.
That we know for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. Here's the strike. I love what Rizzo said. Yeah, he showed me a lot of Miguel Cabrera.
so to speak, in that comment.
Yeah, I mean, look, Cabrera has a pretty good idea about the game of baseball and doesn't mind giving the opposition credit when credit is due.
Exactly.
There's a look at Chris, who was absolutely as good as you can get against the Cubs, stopping their 9-game winning streak.
As I said, he made us look silly.
Yeah.
He gone, but the opposite field homer by C.J. Cron is a 2-1 Angel lead.
TV Premium for live or on demand on over 400 devices. You get real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, and more. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. And a new pitcher coming in the game, and it is Joe Smith. He's 4-3 his ERA, 183 on for the 51st time. Opponent sitting just 229 against him. Those are good numbers, but not near as good as last year when he was close to unhittable. A 7-2 record, a 181 ERA, and 76 appearances. When you can get some left-handers to match up against him, you're in pretty good shape. Normally, the right-handers don't do very well. And with that in mind, Adam LaRoche is going to lead it off. Pinch hitting for Avi Garcia.
Avi was 2 for 3 tonight. Avi was 1 for 4 against Smith.
And 2 for 3 tonight. J.B. Shuck in the on-deck circle, and he's just back off the DL, so Sox certainly missed him.
Dadgum right we did.
He did a terrific job in any role that Robin asked him to play before he tweaked a hamstring.
He was a very, very valuable component of some good baseball, both with the leather and the lumber. Two and two. Pops him up. One out.
There's a look at JB and what he's done this year overall. Really doesn't tell the whole story because he's been terrific. 5 for 22 with 3 driven in off the bench.
Takes first pitch strike. Two, 4, and 1 for them. 1, 5, and 0 for us. And if you're just tuning in, that one run we got was a gift back in the 3rd inning on the throwing error. Topper, Giovatello can't get him.
No, he doesn't have that kind of an arm. He went up the middle. JB with very good speed. He didn't hit it hard, but he hit it in a real good spot. Goes right back up the middle. Giovatello has to go to his right. Doesn't have a chance to set, and Shuck beats it easily. That's a tying run aboard. If you have that kind of move where you push back off the mound and throw to first, you get picked off with that, you're not looking.
Well, actually just 3 for 17 off Joe Smith. And that was a ball again. Again.
I think one of the things that they should look at, whether it's Ed Hickox or somebody on the base paths, make sure that Smith comes to a stop, because the last pitch he came very close to balking. Again, one of those moves that you're not going to get anybody with that.
It looks quick, but no.
Yeah.
2 and 1.
Jake Petrichka throwing in a Sox pen. There's a look at Jake.
No, that's not a move you're going to teach your son. See that very often.
Nope.
All right, we'll go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 2-1.
innings on just 4 hits. Heaney was good. He gets a no decision in this one. Pujols with home run 552. And Crone with a solo homer in the 7th that put the Angels on top. Honda, great deals are happening at the Honda Summer Clearance Event, now at your Honda dealer. So J.B. Shuck, who came on to pinch hit and got a hit, stays in the game in right field.
J.B. who hit for Trace Thompson. Trace was 1 for 2 with a walk and a single. So Mike Mazza and Mike Spadales and their crews picked a click. Another impressive game for the rookie, Trace Thompson. You don't know what he's going to call.
And there is the closer, Houston Street.
What's that? Ball hit hard, but Shuck comes in now, has to reach up. Good thing he finally recognized it. Looked like he was going to overrun it for a second.
Sox fans, you can manage a game along with Robin by logging onto WGNTV.com and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner for the latest stats and information. Sox Game Zone is powered by Robert Morris University, Illinois, offering over 55 athletic teams. That's more than any other university in the state. For more information on RMU, visit robertmorris.edu.
On the count.
Carlos Rodon has had good rhythm tonight. He's worked quickly. Tyler Flowers has kept him in that rhythm. And he's thrown the ball exceptionally well.
Yeah. Of course, he had a lot of inspiration going into this game after watching that game yesterday.
There's no doubt, if you don't observe Chris Sale and watch what he does against hitters to keep them off balance and then put a little something on, take a little something off, and you're not taking advantage of what being a teammate of Chris has to offer. And there you look at the numbers, they were just spectacular. Tied his career high with 15 strikeouts in just 7 innings. 1 hit he gave up. Used 116 pitches to do it. And I talked to Chris after the game, and he said that lots of folks talked to him about being a warm day, being humid. He said, I grew up pitching in this weather. I absolutely love it. Can't be too warm. It can't be too humid. He said that's what it was like in Lakeland. And he says, I love it. You get loose quickly. You stay loose. And he said, I knew from the first inning that I had a little something extra.
Well, that started off. That was the whole tempo of the game. We had a crowd, full house. Fanny in every seat.
Yep.
It was a big game for us. We had to even up the series and retain the Crosstown Cup, which that was the least part of it. But he comes out, he strikes out the side in the first inning in quick fashion. His pace was quick. He was getting it, throwing it, and all of a sudden that set the tempo for the whole rest of the game.
I love the slider to Chris Denorfia that he swung, it hit him in the leg, and he just sat in the batter's box facing the other direction.
You never had to face that slider.
No, I didn't. And if I did, I wouldn't have hit it, and it wouldn't have hit me because I'd be bailing out, even on a left-hander throwing.
I've been where Chris Denorfia was after that swing yesterday on one knee.
Well, we saw it with Torrey Hunter. We saw Chris Denorfia. There was another time or two where that hard slider down and in Hitter can't get out of the way of it, especially after he commits a swing.
That's coming on now. Broken bat by Victorino. So here's Cole Calhoun. He's grounded to second, popped up to third, and gone out to center softly.
Well, this is a career high for him with 17 home runs and a career high with 63 driven in. So he's tied his career high in hitting the ball out of the ballpark and set his career high in runs batted in, with a long way to go in this season.
Well, the way he's progressing since he's come in to this league, it wouldn't surprise me if next year he hit 25 to 30. Drove in 75, 85.
And not a bad spot to hit in ahead of Mike Trout.
That's one of the reasons why.
That's really a good spot to hit.
That's one of the reasons. And Trout and Pujols?
Yeah.
He just missed that one. He just missed that one. All right, we'll go to the ninth. We need one to tie.
It's a ground ball by Melky, and it looked like a double play until Giavotella airmailed Crone at first base, and that so far is the only Sox run. The Speed Replay is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And Houston Street comes into this one. He's 3-2, his ERA, 2.78 on for the 45th time. 27 saves and 31 opportunities, with the opponents hitting just .202. So he's been pretty tough. He's not exactly a side wheeler, but usually very tough on the right-handers.
He's just been a terrific closer with probably some of the lesser stuff of terrific closers. What he does do is he usually throws strike one. He's very competitive. He's not afraid of the bat, and he's not afraid to pitch out of a jam.
You know, last year, a combination of San Diego and the Angels, he saved 41 games combined. And just recently saved number 300.
Yeah, he's been a wonder. There's no question about it. Tyler Saladino. Carlos Sanchez has come out to hit for Flowers. That pitch a little bit low. Tyler's
0 for 2. He also was hit by a pitch.
You'd like to
count 1-1.
I'd like to get him aboard representing the tying run because of his speed.
That pitch at 89.
Connor Gillespie in an Angel uniform. A fourth drive of the game, and so far it's the difference in the game. It's a backdoor breaking ball that went out of the ballpark. C.J. Cron hitting his 9th home run of the year, his 27th driven in, and his 2nd hit of the night. That by far the biggest one.
So here's Carlos hitting at .232, 3 homers, 18 knocked in as he takes first pitch strike. Street's always had that good mound presence.
Good genes. His dad is a pretty good quarterback for the University of Texas.
That's off the end of the bat. Check it, see if it's broken. Says it's all right. Yeah, he's been a good one. It's amazing the vibes that go between the hitter and the pitcher. Somebody's going to have that sense of control. If you don't have it, he's got it.
One time he tried to drop that changeup over the outside corner, threw it well wide.
One and two.
There's Jared Weaver, who we're going to see in this series, who we did not see in Chicago. Jeff Samardzija, who we're going to see in this series.
So here's Gordon. Gordon 0 for 3. One and one to count. And when this ball comes down, this ball game will be over. They win the first game 2-1. We'll be back.